All right, so Adam Silver ended up getting on the NBC News, and he was talking about the CBA negotiation that's going on between, of course, the owners and the players, and he absolutely said something that pissed the WNBA off. All right, they ended up taking shots at him, which I will show y'all that after this. Let's go ahead and take a listen to what he had to say.
Out of nowhere, Adam Silver just dropped a statement that shook the entire league, and the WNBA absolutely snapped. But here's where things get wild. What he said didn't just spark outrage. It revealed the real reason the whole negotiation is collapsing from the inside. By the end of this, you'll see exactly why people are whispering that the WNBA might not even exist by 2026. And trust me, that's not an exaggeration. This is way bigger than anyone's admitting. So Adam sits down with NBC News, talking calmly about the league's future. Sounds routine, right? Then out of nowhere, he drops a sentence that flips everything upside down. Pay close attention to how he said it.
I think share isn't the right way to look at it because there's so much more revenue in the NBA. I think you should look at it in absolute numbers in terms of what they're making, and they are going to get a big increase in this cycle of collective bargaining, and they deserve it.
So the main part that I want us to pay attention to is this first part, okay? It's really quick. This clip was really quick, but we need to pay attention to what he said right here.
NBA? Yes. I mean, I think share isn't the right way.
Did you catch it? The share isn't the right way to look at it. That one line just gave away the entire playbook. Because what most fans don't realize is this. When Adam says that, he's basically telling everyone the players will never get the revenue cut they're fighting for. And the WNBA wasted no time firing back. They posted on Instagram, "Don't want to share, Adam Silver?" Publicly calling out the commissioner in front of the world. It's messy. It's emotional. But here's the twist. Adam's not completely wrong. I'll show you why in a second. But first, let's break down the numbers that everyone keeps skipping over.
And by the way, it's not even the owners, the players. So the players get 50% of the money. Where does the rest of the money go? And this is revenue, not profit, not 50% of profits. They want 50% of revenue. So the WNBA costs, let's just make the maths easy. Let's just say it costs $100 million to run the WNBA. It doesn't, it costs way more.
Here's where everything falls apart. If the league earns $100 million, spends $100 million to keep the lights on, and then hands $50 million to the players, every single owner takes a loss. No investor on earth signs off on that deal. But the real kicker? The WNBA isn't built like the NBA at all. The NBA controls its entire pot of money. The WNBA doesn't. They rely on the NBA to cover losses, outside investors for capital, and team owners who actually hold minority stakes in their own league. So when players demand half the revenue, they're asking for something that literally can't happen under the current setup. And that's when things start getting really complicated.
Positions that benefit from the league not existing. There are players that benefit from the league not existing. And by the way, we know these players that are in the PA have basically diplomatic immunity from getting fired. If Unrivaled goes 5v5, they're going to make a little more money. But you want to know who's not going to make more money? The 60.
Zero professionalism from the WNBA. Harsh words, but look at what's been happening. They leaked award results out of spite toward Caitlin Clark. They called for investigations that never had evidence. They've deleted their own posts after getting slammed by fans. And here's what nobody's piecing together. Some of the player reps and leadership actually benefit if the WNBA collapses. Think about it. If Unrivaled switches to 5-on-5, the stars will get paid more than they do now. But the bottom half of the league? The 60 or so players on minimum deals, they lose everything. And that's where the politics turn ugly.
See what he said here. We got to dial in right here. He's speaking really fast. Let's listen to this next part.
I think you should look at it in absolute numbers in terms of what they're making.
I think you should look at absolute numbers in terms of what they're making. Because this could be a big increase, right? We don't see their proposal. The max going from 200,000 to 850,000. That's a big increase. That's a big increase, right? The minimum being...
When Adam said, "We're not trying to get you that share money," he basically spelled it out. They're not going to touch the percentage split. Instead, they'll raise salaries through efficiency. trimming budgets, slashing expenses, moving money around. Maybe that's even why last season's officiating looked so inconsistent, cutting corners to free up cash for salaries. Were they already testing that plan? Possibly. But here's the thing driving players insane. No matter what numbers they move around, the share percentage isn't budging.
That we are seeing this type of thing. And look, I think the players should make a lot more money. I think apparently somebody like who knows the WNBA finance really well is like, even if the players got 80% of their merch, and they got like a percentage of ticket revenue, which they actually get none of right now, but it's like, even if you give them 80% of their merch, apparently the total still goes to about only just over $1 million, and they're not gonna.
So the players are refusing to sign onto a locked salary cap. They want pay tied directly to league revenue, meaning the cap could rise or crash every season. That sounds empowering, until you realize it makes long-term deals impossible. Nobody would know what next year's salary cap even is. The entire league turns unstable overnight. And even if players got 80% of their merch sales plus a cut of ticket money, which they currently get none of, the increase is barely $1 million more total. That's it. The money they're asking for just doesn't exist in the books. And this is where things start to get really uncomfortable.
Y'all don't even own half of what's coming into your league. So that 9% might have to stay there the way that he's talking, because of how they're falling short already on making enough money to pay for how much the league costs to run, right? So that 9% might have to stay there. I don't know. That's the way he's talking. He's like, maybe not look at it as far as shares. Now, to me, it sounds like he's saying we don't necessarily want to increase that share number. We're just going to get a little bit more efficient here and there within the business.
Adam basically hinted that some owners might be using the WNBA as a financial write-off. That means they get tax benefits for losing money. Think about how wild that is. If you can collect tax breaks for operating at a loss and look like a hero for supporting women's sports, why would you ever agree to lose more money just to meet player demands? You wouldn't. It's bad business. And that's why the players are furious. From where they sit, the league looks like it's booming. Caitlin Clark is packing arenas and breaking records. So naturally, they're asking, where's the money? But the truth runs deeper than they think.
If the revenue split happens, it is essentially a guarantee the owners lose money, and there's no scenario where that's ever going to happen. And I think the players are like, there will never be a situation where they budge on the revenue split. There won't be. If there's no 2026 season, there's not going to be a 2027 season, there's not going to be a 2028 season. I think an argument could be made that it is beneficial that the whole league shuts down, and it allows these players to start fresh.
The NBA isn't just a sponsor. They're a part owner that's keeping the WNBA alive. And those outside investors who joined recently, they didn't buy teams, they bought shares of the league itself. So when players ask for 50% of revenue, they're not just asking team owners to give up profits. They're asking the NBA and those outside investors to take less too. And none of those groups have any reason to agree. This is what negotiation experts call a false leverage moment. The players feel like they hold power after last season's success, but in reality, their bargaining position is paper thin.
And talking his talk, he was going to settle everything. I thought he was going to fix everything. I called him Thanos to fix it. Man, he talking just like Kathy. He talking just like Kathy, man. He like, look, we not trying to get y'all this share money. We're going to find a way to get those increases going, right? Y'all going to make a little bit of more money, but y'all not going to get any more of this share. I'm sorry. We're not looking at it as shares because y'all not making a profit. Y'all not making close to as much as the NBA is making. So, nah, we not.
Even with Caitlin Clark's breakout season lighting up the sport, it's still not enough to save the league's foundation. Yes, she boosted viewership. Yes, she brought in sponsors and hype. But one superstar can't fix an entire business model that's flawed at the core. Meanwhile, Unrivaled and Project B are popping up with billionaire backers and clean ownership structures. No tangled partnerships. No split authority. But Unrivaled has one giant issue that nobody wants to acknowledge.
Could have added 24 more players, got to got to like, what, 60 instead of 44, added 16 more players, made it 5v5 with 10 players per team, and the league becomes infinitely better, but they're so stuck on gimmick basketball that's not real basketball that they've screwed it. Like, I think if Unrivaled was 5v5, I think a lot of other players would be playing. I think Caitlin Clark plays with 5v5.
If Unrivaled played real basketball, 5-on-5, this conversation would be totally different. Caitlin Clark would play. Aya Wilson would join. Every top player would consider it, especially during a lockout. But instead, they doubled down on the 3-on-3 format. They added more teams instead of adding more players. They could have expanded to 60 athletes, made it a legitimate alternative. Instead, it feels like a half step, a flashy concept that limits its own growth. And now, WNBA players are trapped between two imperfect worlds.
WNBA posts. I think they might actually be half pushing to shut down the league. And I don't know if that's the worst thing in the world. Because at the end of the day, I think if I would be looking at that option way more favorably if Unrivaled was not gimmick basketball. If Unrivaled was just 5v5, if instead of adding 2 more teams to Unrivaled, they added 4 more players per team, they could have done it.
From a business standpoint, a new league where athletes work directly with investors who own 100% of operations makes way more sense. No confusing ownership web. No NBA safety net. Just a clean, self-contained ecosystem. But for that to actually succeed, it has to be authentic basketball. 5-on-5. Real competition. Because right now, the WNBA's wave, Caitlin's rise, the record viewership, the surge of attention, is at its absolute peak. If there's number 2026 season, all that momentum evaporates. And behind closed doors, things are getting tense.
Like, this reminds me of the "we call BS" thing. Like, there is zero, and I mean zero, professionalism from the WNBA, and there hasn't been for years. Like, they've leaked their own awards out of spite for Caitlin Clark. They've leaked their own awards out of spite for a player that they're meant to represent. They have given credit, like, they have basically demanded the WNBA start an investigation, which they have, and basically called out the league for not punishing people for something that didn't happen, for not punishing a team.
Think about it. This same union demanding half the revenue just leaked awards out of spite, called for baseless investigations, and deleted posts after backlash. They're leading negotiations through emotion instead of business sense. The owners have accountants. The players have Instagram stories. Those are not equal weapons. And that emotional approach has started bleeding into every part of this fight. It's not strategy anymore. It's reaction. And that's dangerous.
There's so much more revenue in the NBA. I think
He's talking really fast right there. He said, I think share is the wrong way to look at it because there's so much more money being made in the NBA. And this is the problem, okay? This is the problem that is going on in the CBA negotiation. You can't increase that number to half like the NBA because there are so many other hands in the cookie jar, fam. Like I stated in the last video.
Here's the fundamental math no one's saying out loud. The player's slice can't grow unless someone else's shrinks. Either the NBA loses part of its share, or the outside investors do. And neither side is volunteering. Adam's strategy is actually clever. He's saying, we'll increase your total pay through growth and better efficiency, but the percentages stay untouched. So max contracts could hit $850,000, minimums $300,000, real raises, significant ones. But the players don't just want higher checks. They want a piece of the ownership pie. And that's what makes this fight impossible to win.
It becomes a hell of a lot less complicated. But at the end of the day, with the these players could 100% get paid more if there was an entire league 5v5 with structured league, not named the WNBA, because of the weird business deals, or not weird business deals WNBA made to stay afloat. The problem is,
it sounds extreme, but what if some players are secretly fine with the league collapsing? Think about it. If you're a top star, you'll get paid anywhere you go. A clean slate might even sound exciting. But if you're a fringe player hanging on by a thread, a shutdown ends your career overnight. That's the divide nobody's talking about. Stars dreaming of new beginnings while dozens of players lose everything they've worked for.
They're shooting themselves in the foot because this momentum is never coming back. Because this league probably, if the 2026 season doesn't happen, the WNBA is done. It will never happen. It's done. I think every one of those owners that has built any of those facilities, I think they all have get out of jail free clauses, all those expansion teams. They can use.
If the 2026 season doesn't happen, the WNBA might never come back. Expansion franchises already have exit clauses. Their new arenas can easily pivot to host other events. The owners are protected. The players are not. No season means no income, no visibility, and no momentum. And suddenly Unrivaled's 3-on-3 format becomes the only option left. But here's the harsh truth. The players are demanding something the owners literally can't afford. The owners are offering record salary increases, but refuse to touch the revenue split. Both sides are entrenched. And somehow, the WNBA's biggest, most celebrated season, the Caitlin Clark boom, might be the exact thing that tears the league apart. Because at the end of the day, this fight isn't about feelings, promises, or fairness. It's about numbers. Cold, unforgiving math.